everybody to another episode of Meet Your Neighbors Branford. And we're here today on site at the Branford Food Pantry. And what we're going to do today is learn about the food pantry, its history of when it began, its development over the years, and also its operations today. So we're going to do this by interviewing Wendy Coles, who is the president of the Branford Food Pantry. So welcome, Wendy.
Thank you very much, and thank you for doing this for us.
And welcome. We're delighted to be with you today, Wendy.
Okay, so in terms of the history, how and when did it begin? Who was involved in that?
Well, you're lucky because today I just found an article on when it was founded. It was founded basically around the mid-1980s, and it was founded by a bunch of churches and concerned citizens that wanted to get emergency food for those who needed it. And that could have been it might have started after a hurricane, or it might have been that just through the counseling center there were a lot of people that were in need of extra groceries or needed groceries to begin with. Mm-hmm. So we're not really sure. All the records are kind of not available for that. We don't know where they are. They probably are with the previous people who are no longer with us. And it's just kind of grown from there. We started out actually in the Baptist church. I have to keep thinking which church because we've been to both. And then we wound up at Indian Neck School, and then we came to this new building in the year 2000. And significantly, our population has grown immensely since then. So I started in '86. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's okay.
That's okay.
I was curious to know right away from the beginning how many families were involved initially.
I remember in '86 when I came into it, we were packing for about 15. Sometimes on a busy week there were 20.
15 to 20 families. Wow.
And last Tuesday we set a record for 140 families in the day. Wow. So it has gone up quite a ways since then. Of course, we've also improved too. But.
In the beginning, I know your mom was involved.
Right. Both my mom and my dad.
Oh, well,
yeah,
I didn't know that.
Mom was more into the packing and everything, and she grabbed me one morning after I'd been working all night. I was living at her house because I just moved back here from California. She grabbed me and said, "My volunteers didn't come in, can you help?" I took toothpicks, spit in my eyes, and off I went, and I haven't stopped since then.
Wow.
It just interests me, and you know, obviously.
Well, and in terms of your mom, when your dad, I guess, how long were they involved? To what age?
Dad was involved until 91. And
the year or his age? His age?
The year.
Oh, okay.
No, because he developed cancer and died about a year after that. And mom was here until she was 80. No. Yeah, she was 85, I believe, when she retired.
Wow,
wonderful.
That's beautiful. So you had lived in California for many years, right? Your career was a nurse.
Correct.
So what exactly brought you back to the East Coast and to Branford?
I actually came back to get to know my nephews a little bit before they took off for school.
Oh, that's a lovely man.
And, you know, because I hadn't really been around them for very much of most of their lives.
Wow. Okay, and so your sister lives in the area.
Right, and a brother.
And a brother, beautiful. So you came back to family like many of us do. And then you started working at the volunteering. Are you staff or is everybody volunteer?
Everybody's volunteer,
wow.
It's total volunteer.
Wow. So you started working or volunteering here as soon as you came east.
Right.
Wow.
Fantastic.
I'm curious, you know, you said that you were packing for the people who were clients at that time. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you put it all into bags and it was ready when they came.
Right. And we did it, like right now we let them choose according to the size of their family. Back then, we had the same type of operation. I mean, we packed everything. And we just put it in a bag, and when they came in, they got the bag that said family of 3, family of 4, whatever.
Oh, I see.
So, you know, that part hasn't changed, you know, according to size of the family. The amount we give them has changed.
Yes.
And I think what you give them has changed.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, I think,
Quite a bit.
How so?
Well, we give them more food than we did back then, and we are able to give a much bigger selection of fresh products. And I say that using quotes because with the meat that we give them, it was fresh when they froze it, but we get it frozen and give it to them frozen. We also give eggs. We're also now getting fresh milk, and this is something within the last couple of months. And we've been getting, for the last maybe year, we've been getting a lot of fresh produce from places like Big Y and Stop and Shop, which has been a godsend.
Yes.
It just, people love it. They wipe us like a plague of locusts. They wipe out the fresh produce.
And it's so important for the nutrition.
Right.
And then in the summer, you get
We get the community
phenomenal
gardens.
organic
Right.
community gardens. So that's
And sometimes other gardens that other people will bring their
From their own.
stuff from their own gardens, which is
Wow.
nice.
that's so
so,
nice.
so there are other sources for the food stuff that comes in, I know. So you mentioned the chain stores, there are, who else? There are fraternal organizations, I guess.
The
Lions,
donations.
They bring in donations, more monetary than anything.
Well, and at the
But
holidays.
we need that too.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And in during the holidays, they bring in like fresh turkey or
Turkeys.
frozen turkeys, or fresh turkeys.
Fresh frozen.
Right. And that kind of thing. And they also help us out to deliver.
And the religious organizations, the churches.
Big food drives from them.
Food drive. And speaking of food drives, so you also do food drives, like I know there's one coming up in April.
Correct.
Do you want to tell our viewers the date and what they can do to help us?
It will be April 13th at the Stop and Shop in Branford, and we will be there from 8:30 in the morning until 6 o'clock at night, which I'm not looking forward to because it's a very long day.
That
We
is
hope
a
it's
long-
not
Come right down to
raining.
Stop and Shop and put a couple of goodies in it. One can is good enough,
Yeah.
or one box.
But I found, last year David and I volunteered with you. I was so heartwarmed because people were so generous.
Absolutely. You know, you ask for one can, not a carriage load, but a lot of people came out with tons of stuff in their carriages.
Carriage loads. It was beautiful, beautiful to witness.
And if not, they throw in money into our
That's
buckets.
right.
I can't remember now how much we made, but it was several $100s on top
On
of
top of
all
all
the
that
food.
food.
One gentleman didn't have any change, he gave us a $50 bill.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
And we actually went back and said, are you sure you didn't need a different size bill? Because $50 sounded, I mean, it seemed like so much.
It is so much, and
It
it's
is.
so generous.
So in terms of funds, so there are other sources that perhaps grants maybe or.
We do apply for grants. Jay is in charge of that, Mr. Jay, not Mrs.
Yeah.
Is in
so-
charge of that, and he has several places that he goes for grants.
Well, since you mentioned it, let me ask, Mr. J is on the board, right?
Correct, he's the vice
So
president.
that's the governance, is a board of directors? like,
Correct.
Then they meet fairly frequently or once a month?
Once a month.
Once a month. That's great.
How many people are on your board?
Wish I hadn't asked that.
Okay, sorry about
I think
that.
there's 12, but there might be 13.
Okay, that's fine. And you had mentioned that we're serving about 120 to 140 families now a week. And I know, as being a volunteer
Right.
with you, that we're getting new families every week. About how many?
2 to 3 new families a week.
Every week.
That's quite.
It's scary.
It is.
It's scary
That is scary.
because and we don't know how many we don't have
I know.
that need it.
That's right, and that's why we're here today, because we wanted to talk about that as well, and we will down in a moment or so. But how many volunteers, Wendy, do you have?
I think we are now about 30.
And can you explain to our audience their functions?
The type of work.
The type of work, right? that they
It depends on, kind of, we've got several what I call sections. Like one section is here taking clients around and helping them to get their food and pack it up and all that, telling them what they're allowed to have, what they're not allowed to have, etc. Then we have another bunch, usually it's the men who go back in the sorting room.
Right.
And I think we're gonna see that later.
Yes, we are.
And they will bring in anything that comes in, food from the food bank, food from a store, food from a food drive, whatever. They'll bring that, weigh it all, and then put it in various boxes and just put it on the shelves where it belongs. Right?
Yeah, I do that.
Dave knows that all too well.
I do a lot of that. I'm
And
happy
then,
to help.
and then after that, some of it has to come back out and be put back on these shelves, which we'll show you later on.
Yes, we will.
So you'll see the difference in shelves.
That's
And that's one of Dave's jobs. He's good at that.
Let's see now. So so we would like to know who really are your clients?
Our clients basically are anyone that walks through the door that feels that they need help with groceries. The only thing they have to do is provide proof of residency that they live in Branford.
Right, no longer proof of financial
We don't
need.
care about that. And
That's changed.
they have a special form that they have to fill out because of the government. Thank you very much. And in the middle of it, there's a little section that says, if you're below this for this size family, then you qualify. Well, we tell them not even to fill it out. I
Yeah.
figure if the government wants to know those numbers, they can come and get it.
So how did the change happen and when did it happen? I think it was pretty recently.
It
no?
was about a year ago. Bernie Boudreau, who is the CEO of the Connecticut Food Bank, said there are no longer financial qualifications to use the food banks or the food pantries. I said, great, I'm for it.
Right.
You know,
yeah,
speaking of the food bank, so the food bank, the pantry has a pickup truck,
Correct.
and sometimes some of the workers here, like Gary, some of the volunteers who are responsible people, I'll tell you, even use their vehicles because it depends on how many thousands of pounds you're going to go get. Sometimes I know the truck has gone up to get anywhere from 900 pounds to 3,000
Correct.
or more pounds. So we send the truck up to the pantry every Friday.
Right.
Order
We order it on Tuesdays.
Order on Tuesdays.
Through the food bank, and we get a lot of food from them at a very good price.
That's wonderful.
If not free,
Wow.
which we get both, and it's fantastic. And then the guys pick it up on Friday morning early and bring it down here.
Before we take a tour, yes, Wendy, we'd like to know the hours of operation. please.
Okay, the hours
Can you
are-
tell our audience?
I can.
Yes. please.
Tuesday morning, we're open from 8:30 until 11, and also on Tuesday afternoon from 4:30 to 6:30. Then on Friday morning, it's 9 a.m. until 11:30. And the reason for later on Friday mornings is because the food bank truck comes in. And we have to keep people out of the way or they're gonna get bombarded by groceries on their heads,
That's right.
is our fear.
So I think this might be a very good time to take a tour, if that's
Sure.
okay with you. So
Absolutely.
let's go.
Okay. Okay, when they come, they'll come in through this door here, come around here and sign in here. And we put them in the computer. And then they proceed this way. They'll get a card with what they can have, what their family is allowed to have. They can take all of it or whatever they want because it's client choice. So we don't have to pack the bags and give them everything. And then we move over this way. Okay, we give them this card and it has what they're allowed to have for their families, for the size of their families. And it kind of starts, it goes cereal, juice, and meat. And here it's cereal, juice, and meat. So it kind of goes along this way for the most part. But then when you get down here a little further, we may have an extra that we add in. Or we may not have something like, we don't have Jell-O because it's so expensive now. And we've just kind of given that up, but I didn't want to redo the cards. Being lazy. So anyway, they get to pick from here. And then they'll come over here where we usually have eggs, and then fresh meat will be on this table. This week we happen to
We'll go
have,
over here just so you can capture
thanks to
that.
the generosity of one of our volunteers, she took her sign now. She's been saving, she saves up and brings in detergent or something else. And every third or fourth month, she'll give out detergent to everybody, which is really great.
That is.
So, and they love it, of course. And then we go around this way.
So as you viewers see, the table is empty right now, but this morning when our clients came in, it was chock full. We had lots and lots of eggs, dozens of eggs. You know, a person can take a dozen of eggs per family. And then we had, as you can see this sign here, one per family, mild cheddar cheese, big chunks of cheese that almost every family wanted, beautiful cheddar cheese. And then this table is chock full. Eileen keeps it so full, of all the meat, chicken, and fish. And people can get, just as this sign says, I don't know if you can zoom in, Joe, but it says 2 meat or 2 fish or 1 of each, or you can get a whole turkey. So it's really a bountiful feast. It is really quite wonderful.
As the clients come through, they get a volunteer who goes around with them, and the volunteer kind of keeps an eye out. Because some people like to take a little bit more than they're allowed to. Most people are pretty good about it, but there's a few that come in. But, and also to help them pack in their bags, we have them bring their recycle bags to use, and then they stand up in these boxes, and then they can fill them with whatever they choose from the shelves. And then usually the volunteers help pack.
Yeah, I'll just add one other thing. We used to give our clients boxes, but we are totally running out. And so clients now are asked, sometimes we can provide some if we're given, but reusable bags, not single plastic reusable bags, but reusable bags that can last and last and last. Some bring in wonderful cloth bags that they can actually wash. And then we fill and we pack for them. So like our client would pick, and then if I'm taking the client around, I'm packing in the bags for them.
This is where we store the eggs in this beautiful freezer that we got free from the Connecticut Food Bank, I might add that. And this is probably about a day's worth. They'll probably mostly go out in one day. After they go around the corner, which is where we just were, they come around here to our bread and pastry section and our fruits and vegetables on the other side. And usually, lately, for some reason, we've been getting a ton of extra bread. So they're allowed to get 2 or 3 different things here. We've got all kinds. We've got sliced bread, we've got English muffins, we've got flatbread, tortillas, a lot of different stuff that we have.
Bagels come in.
If they can have 2 or 3, and especially it's nice for the kids if they have kids in their family, so they can make sandwiches to take to school or whatever if they're not on lunches at school, which a lot of them are not.
Right, and we encourage them to freeze it as well if they, because I don't know, Joe, that you can get this sign, but it says extra bread. So as much as they want to take today was what,
Except for the guy who likes to take the whole box. We do draw the line there.
That's right.
Okay, and here, as you can see, we have some of our vegetables. Potatoes, onions, and carrots are pretty much staples because we get them almost all the time from the food bank. The rest we can't always depend on because we just never know what they're going to have or what we're going to get in. In this case, we have sweet potatoes, we have lettuce, we have some baby eggplants, lemons,
Gorgeous lemons. Take
mushrooms, apples. We usually can get apples, not all the time. But
Yeah, and I just want to add, today we even were giving them these bags of fresh peeled garlic. I can't tell, oh boy, is that potent.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people were thrilled. They said, oh my God, that's exactly what I needed. I had to go out and shop. So it's really a joy when you see that we can really meet needs. And then
over here, we have all our pastries, and usually we have quite a few. There are some days when we're a little slow in pastries. It depends on what the different markets send us. But we've been very, very lucky, and lately we've been super lucky to have a lot of pastries. And people love it. They just,
They do. And
I want to say
sometimes-
eat it up, but that's not boring because that's what you do with
That's
it like
what you
this.
do.
I'd
But
like
they
to,
just get so excited.
I know.
I'd like to add one thing. Now, everything that's out here with produce is out because, as we said, we were here this morning, it's a Tuesday, and Tuesday morning, we served a lot of families. Tuesday afternoon into the evening, they are going to serve more families, and so the produce is out now. The meat is not. They'll put that out when it's appropriate, but otherwise it would all be in the refrigerators and freezers that we have. Not the produce, but we have all kinds of coolers and refrigerators.
We'll show you that after.
In here, we have different kinds of more produce that they've sent us. There's like bags of salad, and there's CC noodles. These are sweet potato noodles. We have beets, turnips, squash, all that kind of thing. We have some fresh peppers, which are kind of nice,
They're beautiful too.
and various other cut up things. It's a little bit low today, but compared to what we were last week. But
Some
you know,
people didn't know what this is, and that's another beauty of the food pantry as I see it, because sometimes people come in never having been exposed to some of these foods, and so we share amongst each other. And those of us that have used it or cooked it will tell them how to, or they tell us how they do
right.
it. So here's a purple cabbage, and a couple of people asked, "What is that?" They had never seen it. So it's a beautiful thing to expose and be able to share such a bounty. And these vegetable noodles, most of us had no clue, of how to use it, how to cook it, what to do with it. And it's like pasta, but it's all with organic vegetables, so it's quite wonderful.
And I'll just throw in the conveyor belt and the rollers we have here.
our lifesaver.
Yeah, so that when our deliveries are coming in, the belt is running. And it makes it easier to get everything down. And at other times, there is a system where, through Sarah,
Right.
Sarah delivers to people who are clients but can't get out, right?
Correct.
So Sarah comes with its vehicles, and we send the produce up and we put it in their vehicles and they deliver it to clients who are homebound.
Which is such a wonderful.
And also, if a client wants, we can just take the boxes that we take them around and pack, put it on the conveyor and send it up. They can bring their car around and just stick it from the conveyor belt right into the back seat, right into the back of their car.
Otherwise, everything is done with the carts. We have several carts. They take them out themselves, or we help them take it out. And by the way, this is the back end. I don't know if you'll get a view of that from where you are. I could, the back end of the display where people pick up their stuff on the other side, all the food that we showed you. This is how we keep stocking it as we go along.
Throughout the whole morning or afternoon. And now, viewers, we're going to take you in the back where sorting is done.
This is what we call our sorting room, and when the food comes in, it's generally kind of in boxes right where I'm standing. There's a long table, you may not be able to see it. And then people put it in whatever boxes it is. As you can see, they all have labels. And then they go in various parts of the shelving units. Some will come in here, some will go up on that side, and then we have another hallway down there where we can put even more food. So we really have lucked out when we got this place. Even up here, we have on the shelves across from where I'm standing, there's food on those shelves too. So it's been a really a godsend to have this area because we can fill it up with food.
And as the donations come in and as the everything is weighed,
Correct.
so that we have a count for many purposes, I guess.
More for stats and to make sure that how we're doing and how much we actually every maybe 2 years we weigh everything that a client takes out We take a week, and every client that goes out, they get all their bags weighed. And that way we can figure out how many pounds of food they're getting, essentially, or average it out anyhow. Some people will take 10 pounds of food and they're good with that, and other people will take 60 pounds of food, depending on the size of their family. But it helps us to keep the stats and to keep current of what we need to get more of. Like if we give out 3,000 pounds of peanut butter, then we need to keep bringing it in. We don't give out that much, but just saying.
We give a lot.
We do give a lot.
And as far as frozen foods that come in, perishables like that, that's what this is, right?
This is our walk-in freezer, which we're very proud of, and I can't tell you the exact cubic footage, but it holds a lot. And you don't want to stand in it for too long. And for years now, several years up until this year, we actually got a different space for turkeys. But during Thanksgiving, when everybody's bringing in turkeys and they're having turkey drives all over, and various organizations and businesses in the community bring in a bunch of turkeys, we fill it with turkeys. And I do remember one year we had it filled way out to here. We have to actually put a board across the front here to keep them from falling out. And one year we had juice in the very, very back that we needed. We had to send a little boy up to climb the turkeys, which were all frozen together at that point. But there were so many turkeys in there that they were practically falling out. So that was fantastic because we had enough for Christmas, Thanksgiving, and Easter.
And I know too, when the meat came in today, and all the frozen goods, even some pies, frozen pies, chicken pies and stuff like that, they were weighed in. Then we brought the boxes back here. There were quite a few boxes, and we sorted them out into these boxes. And then we have pork products here, and chicken products there, and beef products, and so on and so forth.
And fish and clam strips.
Yeah. So that's the freezer. Cool, huh?
That's one of our friends.
Very cool.
Plus, we have a lot of chest freezers.
So this has been really fascinating, Wendy. You're doing such an important job
Thank
in
you.
the
I love
community.
it. I love it.
Yeah, it's just really awesome. And next month, do you want to share on what we'll
Sure. Yeah, there's actually a food drive that helps to benefit particularly the food bank here in Branford. And that food drive is a nationwide food drive, but only the stuff from Branford comes here. Not everything from all over the nation. But that drive is run by volunteers from the post office. Is that correct?
It's the postal workers.
The
yeah.
postal workers
The
do
letter
it on their
carriers.
own time,
It's
though.
the letter carriers.
Yeah, they're
food
the
drive.
employees of the Postal Service, but after they do their route on the 12th of May this year, that's Mother's Day weekend, the Saturday of Mother's Day weekend, they will then go out, do the route again, picking up all of the groceries that people have left on their mailboxes or near their mailboxes, and bring it back here, and then we get to work.
Yes, we do.
So we'll be interviewing David one.
So the plan is, hopefully, we'll be able to work everything out with the Postal Service and the volunteers, the volunteer who heads that up, and be able to do filming of their people, doing some of their work, and then all of the people here sorting what there is that
Right.
comes in.
So in the meantime,
Another long day.
right.
Yeah.
Until then, we thank you so much for joining us on Meet Your Neighbors, Branford. Until we meet again,
Au
good
revoir.
eating.